Welcome to the CSP Hot Hands 60 Minutes of Fire podcast. You're here because you're wondering, is this podcast for you? And I hope to help you with that. My name is Brett Wiggins. I serve as the host and a division manager for Vector Marketing and Cutco Cutlery in Indiana and parts of Michigan. And for those of you that don't know, a CSP is a Cutco sales professional. They typically sell hundreds of thousands of dollars of our products annually. Some of them sell a little less, and we've even got a few that sell over $1 million a year. This podcast is intended for CSPs and CSP candidates who want to learn best practices from top sales reps across the country. If you're not part of our Cutco community, but maybe you are in sales, I'm willing to bet there's going to be some nuggets here and there that are valuable to you. But do I think it's going to be worth sifting through the Cutco specific thoughts that are shared? I honestly don't know. That's up to you. That's for you to decide. Just realize these episodes are being made with the content that is designed to impact our own Cutco community. But I want to make it very clear, all are welcome. If you're a newer rep to our business, but maybe you've shown that you're starting to master the basics, this podcast will help you think bigger and sell more. There may be some topics covered that you aren't going to be able to implement right away. In your case, some of these episodes are going to have more value than others. Now, who is this podcast not geared towards? If you're someone who's considering taking a position with us and you just got recruited and you've got an upcoming training and you're excited, you do not want to implement anything being shared here. That would be like trying to learn organic chemistry before you even know your ABCs. It's just not going to work. If that's you, or you're the parent or a loved one of someone who's just getting started with us, I highly recommend the Changing Lives Selling Knives podcast with Dan Cassetta. That is a podcast designed for the masses, including brand new members of our Cutco community. It has plenty of value for all. Just search Changing Lives Selling Knives anywhere you get your podcasts. I want to share one more thing before you start listening. And that's that this was never intended to actually be a podcast. I was hosting bi-weekly calls with my team of CSPs so they could learn from each other, ask questions to those with the hot hand, and create some camaraderie between them. And it worked. We had one of our best years ever that year. After about a year, though, I noticed some drop off in interest, and I decided to switch things up. And I asked them if they could hear from anyone on any topic as a guest speaker, who would they want to hear from? The nominations flooded in. There was some real momentum behind this idea. Shortly after that, I hunted down the contact info for those they wanted to hear from, and I set up calls over the next 3 months with the CSPs who got back to me and were up for it and available. I told our team they would need to supply me with the questions so we could get the most out of the call. Our first guest was Rob Robincheck. And if you know anything about Rob, he's won a few silver cups, and he's near the top of everybody's list of who's doing the best job selling Cutco right now. He is absolutely resetting the standard of what's possible as a Cutco sales rep in the world of business gifts. So I told the team I'd love if they hopped on live, but it would be recorded. Rob jumped on Zoom from his cell phone, from his car. I hit record, and we hit the ground running. He absolutely crushed it. 60 minutes later, I sat there and thought, I think this is a podcast. So that night, I researched how to publish a podcast, where the best places to do it were. I hopped on iMovie, put in a beginning slide and end slide, and boom, our first episode with Rob was born. You'll notice from the lack of production on that one, I never intended for this to be a podcast until I realized that it already was. We keep a running list of upcoming guests at the end of every episode. So if you ever want the ability to submit questions for any of them, or you want to be a part of our live Zoom audience, just email me at bwiggins@vectormarketing.com. That's BWIGGINS at vectormarketing.com. I'll gladly send you the info that you need. So that's how the podcast was born. And on each episode, we really get straight to the point. There's no long intro. There's no buildup of the guest. If you're in the Cutco world, you know how awesome these guys and girls are already. It's just 60 minutes, all dedicated to questions submitted by people like many of you who are out in the field just wanting to get better at selling knives. We bring the questions, they bring the fire, everyone wins. if you got to this point, I'm assuming you're in. So hopefully you've decided this is going to be worth your time. 60 minutes of fire means we get straight to the point. Go pick your first episode.